Talking sports with Nooner and Force, it's been a while, but we have been on a small hiatus due to other personal issues that were unforeseen. But we are finally back. We are in the last week of April, well, last full week of April, and the next week will already be in May. I mean, the year's gone by pretty quick so far. But first, let's go around. Brad, how are you this evening?
I'm doing very good. First of all, Ricky, I just want to say we've been praying for you guys, praying for you, praying for Whitehall, and just want to mention that as well to you. So just want to mention that first of all. Second of all, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty tired. Like I told you before the show, I preached 4 times in 3 days. That's what you get for Easter weekend. That's our Super Bowl for preachers. Besides Christmas, Christmas and Easter is our two Super Bowls for the year. So yeah, that was really get to watch any WrestleMania. Really didn't really get to watch any TV, but I've had a good week. Like I say, busy. Been doing some baseball. I said I wouldn't do some travel ball, but I did some travel ball, which was pretty good. Was like Lake Hamilton last night, doing softball Friday at Magna Cove, and also shout out to the White Sox. If they can't be any worse, they are worse this year because right now they're 5-17 and their team batting average is 196.
Yeah, that's absolute garbage, by the way. Uh, so yeah, first of all, yeah, thank you for your prayers and everything like that. So, to our listeners, I know the main listeners probably already know this, but yes, we lost our head coach Matt Williams to a head-on collision. This was the Saturday before last, and so we ended up doing his funeral this past Monday in Jonesboro. I think the family wanted to get through Easter weekend first. Easter week, it's just a time of a family and everything, like get through that, and then do the memorial stuff. So he died on the 12th. I did get to see him that day. He was coaching AAU basketball in Bryant. Got to go watch a game. Normal thing, doing his normal thing. Shook his hand when it was all said and done. We had a small talk, and we had plans to get together later that evening, and unfortunately that did not happen. The last time I talked to him, he was riding his bicycle in town, and he had asked me to go. First, he asked if there was a Dick's Sporting Goods around. I said no, but there was an Academy Sports. He needed an air pump for his bicycle, and so I ended up going to buy him one. Obviously, he paid me back, but went to go buy him one, and then that was the last time that I had talked to him. He sent me a text message later that night, the address where to go to, and then unfortunately, not long after that is when the accident happened. He lost his life. Not sure about the other guy. Not going to get into details about the other guy and what happened and everything like that. But um, like I said, we had his funeral this past Monday in Jonesboro, and then this evening we had another memorial service at another church. The head assistant basketball coach, the head high school assistant basketball coach, it was his church. They were very kind, very generous to us. Um, his mother prayed with us before we all went out there and spoke. I spoke. Adam spoke, the high school assistant. Then we had a friend of ours named Amber. She spoke, and Joe Mosley, who we call he's basically called Mr. Whitehall. He's 20 years old, and he's 20 years old, but he has the heart of an old guy. I mean, he was raised by his grandfather, and his grandfather taught him everything about Whitehall. But he spoke, for a little bit, and there was a few others who got to go up there and speak that left it wide open. But it was a great memorial service. Matt's parents even came. I was very pleased because Matt's parents live in Greenville, Mississippi, and now they live in Greenville, Mississippi. They both taught and coached at Jonesboro. I think he was a tennis coach or a track coach. I can't remember. His wife, I believe, was a tennis coach. She coached tennis for several years there, and so they know all about Arkansas State, Jonesboro area, everything like that, and well, like I said, that's where he was born and raised. That's where his funeral was and everything like that. And so, just a time now a time for healing, and just find a way to move on now. It's things are going to be different now, and we have to take what we've got. We got to let God be God, and we just gotta trust His will and His way, and see what happens from there. But definitely appreciate all the prayers. phone calls, text messages, those who have reached out, I highly appreciate that. And so, but now it's just time to heal and time to move on, and that's what we're going to do. And then number two, as far as Easter service goes, our church was packed. That's the most I've seen in our church since we joined. Was that
Very
Sunday?
good.
Last Easter we were packed, but I don't think we were near as packed as what we were this past Sunday. And so yeah, definitely great to be past Easter weekend. It was a great weekend.
Yeah.
And so despite despite the unfortunate circumstances, it was a good weekend. And so, but
Yeah.
no,
I was going to say we had 10 visitors for our sunrise service, mostly campers from out of town that found out about our sunrise service. And we met at the boat ramp at Coronado Lake here at the village. And so we had 10 visitors, which thought was great. And besides our church members, and then, of course, church was packed and us as well. And of course, we had Good Friday service, and it was pretty well attended. So, yeah. So definitely, I'm glad to hear that, Ricky. Yeah, it's I've had when I was a chaplain at the prison, I had an officer pass away, a few staff members, myself, and that just one of the hardest things one of the hardest things I've ever dealt with personally.
yeah.
So, but I just want to say I'm praying for y'all, and I know others are as well, and and again, again, this time, there's time for healing, and I know you guys will do very good. So we'll move, we'll carry on the legacy. So
Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay, so apparently the news did a segment on our deal, and apparently I'm on the news. So,
there
10 o'clock news, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all want to watch 10 o'clock news? Y'all go ahead. I really don't care. All right, so let's get started. Going to be a shorter show today. I believe it's going to be a shorter show, which I'm fine with because I think the DA said it's going to take a little bit longer. So I have 8 of them today, ladies and gentlemen. I have 8 DA. I'm starting to write these down, Brad. I'm starting to write these down. I have not
I
written
need.
anything. I've only written one. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. I've written 2 things down last week and a half. For this is 4 week and a half since it's been. Yeah. So anyway, so let's just get. All right. So first things first. WrestleMania 41 is finally in the books. Um, so tired of long build-ups. To me, there was just such a long build-up. There's so much we could go around with. Jey Uso winning the World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena breaking the 17th record for 17th, which I'm still a little stunned at, but
Yeah,
that's neither here nor there. The triple threat match, which Seth Rollins won because of Paul Heyman turning on both CM Punk and Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, the ones. Um, there's just so much. There's so much to dig in from WrestleMania weekend. So I am going to start with this. I think the best match of the weekend by far was the triple threat match of night one. There were so many stories that were told in that. Um, I
the
think
ladies or the men. Because I thought the ladies were pretty good too.
the ladies was second in my opinion. That's just my I know a lot of them. I know
Now I'm
there's a
not a
lot
big
of
fan.
opinions.
Yeah,
There's a lot of opinions out there that the ladies triple threat match was the best. I thought the men's match was a little bit better. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. If we're going straight up wrestling, like straight wrestling, you can argue the women. When it comes to wrestling, when it comes to charisma, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to all the above, to make a book and to continue a story, it's the triple threat match because now the men's triple threat match because now the way that they're building this, there's a possibility Roman Reigns and CM Punk may be teaming up once again, even though back in November they said this is it. But now they're going to be dealing with a necessary evil because Paul Heyman now has Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins in his corner, and there's a possibility that Becky Lynch is going to join that
yeah,
faction. And I think there's going to be one more member and I think Austin Theory could be in that mix. I could see what's his name? I'm trying to remember his name, but there's another guy that I could see joining that faction as well. I think Theory would be a perfect fit for that little group there. And so there's so many stories that we could go in, but I really believe that is that those two matches were the best. John Cena winning a 17th title. They made the right call to win his 17th title. Brad, that's one of the worst main events I've seen in my entire life. I've seen terrible main events in my life.
Yeah,
That right there,
Travis Scott. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
that right there, Brad, was by far the worst main event I've ever seen in a WrestleMania. It's now the worst I saw before this one was when The Miz beat John Cena and The Rock interrupted. That was the worst one. They topped it off. John Cena looks a little slow, and I don't know if it's because the way his character it is now that he's this big bad A that he can work people real slow and just hit people with big finishes, whatever the case may be. He did a little bit more than what we're used to seeing him do, but the match to me was slow. And I thought when John Cena pinned him for the win, I thought they were only going to be halfway finished. That match did not last very long at all, which was very, very disappointing. Now, I will say this much. The Monday after the Raw after Mania, which is the biggest Raw of the year, according to most of the wrestlers that know anything about wrestling, they had a perfect segment. Randy Orton coming out there and giving an RKO to
agree.
John Cena. They made it perfect. And I'm sitting here thinking,
And the
John
roles are
Cena,
reversed now.
the roles reversed now because John Cena, Randy Orton, they're going to St. Louis, Missouri for Backlash, probably going to have a match at Backlash. And this time, John Cena's the heel. Randy Orton's the babyface. Remember, all their classic matches, every single classic match they ever
Been
had,
the
Brad,
opposite.
was the opposite. Unless they
Yeah,
were tag teaming, unless they were tag team part, which there was
right.
a time that there was a couple of segments they had where they were tag team partners, and they did fit pretty well as a tag team. So I thought they did a great job of saying, yeah, the match sucked. We're going to give you a good segment right here. And hopefully, like I said, like I said, with John, you never know what's going to happen but I hope that their match is better than what we saw with Cody Rhodes. Because what happened with Cody Rhodes losing, the way that he lost made him look weak. Because if you look at last year, how much help did he get? How much help did Roman Reigns get? And to me, it was just not near as big. And then, of course, The Rock not showing up, which I get it to an extent with why The Rock didn't show up.
And
But The
we're
Rock
gonna
was
just I shared something about that this morning. So
the Rock was part of the story. He should have been there.
yeah,
That who was the rapper that said
Travis Scott.
Travis?
Travis
That was
Scott.
stupid. Why
That was
would he?
stupid.
It made no sense why he was part of it. None whatsoever.
Yeah, stupid.
Ric Flair would have been better than Travis Scott, and Ric Flair's 95,000 years old.
I would love to see Ric Flair give John Cena a low blow or something.
Exactly.
That's
And so
rather
yeah,
than
ex-
my thoughts of it. WrestleMania 41 was he not not
it was
bad.
it wasn't bad, but it wasn't
It's not
great. It was
yeah,
a 4, maybe a 5 out of 10 at most.
no, Conrad Thompson in his podcast with Bischoff and others would always say, "We give it thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle." I gave it thumbs in the middle. I mean, nothing really excited me per se, except for a couple of those matches. I do agree the men's triple threat was very good. I thought the women's triple threat was a little bit better because of what the stakes were and EO Sky going over. I think that was
That
a
was the
key
right
call.
call.
That was a good
I
call.
thought
And
I
EO
I
Sky stepped it up. And
I
give her
thought
credit.
I thought they were going to let Bianca Belair go over
Yeah.
because the fact is that she hasn't had a championship in a while, and Triple H is very, very fond of her. Now, I will say this: the most exciting part of the entire weekend for me personally, so we did a terrible wrestling show the Thursday before WrestleMania. We did a terrible wrestling show with Alex, which I was able to get on there. I, without hesitation, said Dominic Mysterio would be the next Intercontinental Champion, and that was an excellent match.
That was an excellent match.
And he got cheered, man. He got cheered.
Yeah, no,
Everybody wanted him to win.
he probably got one of the biggest pop or maybe the biggest pop out of everybody.
I think so too. I think so
Yeah.
too. And then
It's pretty close.
you could argue Seth Rollins got a little bit of a bigger pop, but it was more of a shock pop. It wasn't
He
more of a
shot. Right.
exactly. It wasn't like a celebration like Dominic. Dominic even came back to the ring because I think he was shocked that I thought he maybe thought he was going to get booed, and yet because
Yeah, okay.
usually when he's on the microphone they're just booing the crap out of him like he's Vicky Guerrero or something like that. But no, that was beautiful. It was such a beautiful match. I loved it. I loved that ending. I'm like, yes, go Dominic Mysterio.
And of course, the U.S. title match was pretty good too. Get
Jacob Fatu, yeah. Yeah,
Jacob Fatu over with
I
his
thought
dad. What
yes,
seeing
with
his
his dad,
dad,
yeah.
seeing his
Yep.
dad, which I we were watching his dad as a kid, and seeing that's very good too. So I was glad to see all that. Yeah, like I said, I just thought that thing, and you told me go back and watch it. And I probably will go back and watch it. And like I said, I didn't get to watch it because I was tired. But even the highlights I got, even the build up for it, it just wasn't
There
anything.
wasn't a lot of buildup for a lot of them.
Yeah,
A lot of them didn't have buildup. And to tell you the truth, Brad, the only thing I think anyone was interested in as far as buildup goes was John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Because let's say John Cena had some good segments as a heel. It was just ended terribly. And then the triple threat, the men's triple threat, that was a good buildup. The women's buildup wasn't that great. To me, did it make sense to have Rhea lose the title on Raw and then turn around and make it a triple threat match? I thought that
I didn't like
maybe
that at all.
I thought Io's pop, she got a good pop, but she would have gotten a better pop had they had Rhea lose the championship at WrestleMania in that triple threat versus what they did. Um,
Exactly. It's that
and,
kind of like
and
what they did with Becky and Charlotte
yes,
and Ronda a few years back. I remember.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
and I'll be honest with you, like I'm not the biggest Bianca Belair fan whatsoever. Like I've been very, very vocal about that. There were people in the audience booing her. Thank you, Vegas, for booing her. I need her to turn heel for me to even believe that she knows how to do any kind of charisma or anything like that. So please turn her heel, Triple H. I'm
And
begging
that
you.
would have been a
You will never.
perfect opportunity to do it.
That would have been a perfect opportunity. To me, it made no sense that she was involved right there with you when you, especially when you have Jade Cargill and Naomi doing their whole thing. Now it's almost like they were never a faction to begin with. So that to me made no sense whatsoever. And so
Right. And Jay Cargill and Naomi, that was a great match as well. I mean, I thought that was a good match. I mean, the build up and everything else, the revenge factor. Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte, that was an okay match.
yeah,
Not,
that was an okay match. Yeah, and,
that was a good match.
Rick Flair's like they stole the show. They didn't steal the show, Rick.
They still
Sorry,
show.
Rick. No, Rick,
Well,
they did not
and
steal the show.
Charlotte, well, of course, there's some rust on Charlotte, obviously. I mean, I think she's
Yeah,
had one match since her return. So there's some rust. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, just not a whole lot of build up. And, other than the couple of matches, I mean, of course, Jay Cargill and her and Naomi had a good build up because of the revenge factor of Jay Cargill getting quote unquote attacked and injured, that sort of thing. You had decent build up for the triple threat, but I'm like you. I didn't like Rhea Ripley losing it and at Raw to Io Sky. I thought her losing. I mean, I get why they did it because they kind of want to play Io Sky as the forgotten one, while those
hmm
other two. I get it, but I still think the bigger pop would have been if she lost it at WrestleMania. Um, yeah, like I say, I think Jacob Fatu winning I thought was good. I mean, it was kind of predictable too. I mean, it was you kind of knew that John Cena was going to win it. You kind of knew it was going to be. And last year it was predictable, but at least there was some build up, there was some story, and there was some excitement about it. And I just didn't see that. And that
it was
is
just the match, Brad. The match sucked. It
well,
was just horrible.
the
It was
match did, and I did see the highlights of the match, and the match did stink. And no, John probably is playing into the heel character, but that's why he might have never been heel in the first place
I
because
and I will say this
should have been.
much because and I'm glad you brought that up because I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember the guy's names. Very good, he's very knowledgeable at wrestling and everything like that. And one of his buddies who has never he's not a wrestling fan at all. He only watched it at WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, and I think he said at SummerSlam. But a lot of them are not buying into the fact that John Cena is a bad guy because they can't do it. It's
No,
so hard for them to do it because the fact is he is at the end of his career. Had they done this 10 years ago with The Rock, or 13, however long ago that was, 13 years ago with The Rock, had they pulled the trigger then, which they almost did, now
he could
would
have been.
probably be good. But it's still not. To me, when he turned heel, this is my personal opinion. To me, when he turned heel, it was bigger than when Hogan turned heel. Simple fact of the matter is that
I disagree
Hogan,
with that only
hang
because
on
you
though,
changed.
only
Yeah,
because of what?
I was
Only because
going to say it because when Hogan turned heel, that really changed wrestling and made the Monday Night Wars. Without
yes.
Hogan turning heel, you wouldn't have that. That's the only
So
reason why I say still rank that number one over Cena.
no, no,
Not
no.
my
So
opinion.
here's the thing. I still rank it number one over Cena because the fact is it's what you just said. I thought Cena turning heel was a little bit like as far as the shock factor goes. To me, Cena turning
Yeah,
heel was more of a
it's
shock factor
shock factor.
because
I get you.
Cena's at the end of his career. He's not in the middle. He's not in the
Yeah,
beginning. He's at the end of his career. For
but
25 years, he was a babyface. Now we're seeing him as a heel, so it's kind of hard for him to be this bad guy. But what's hilarious about his press conferences are great. His
yeah,
press
it
conferences are
was.
great. I love his press conferences. And
Well,
so, but it's
Cena
so hard to buy him as a heel. It's so hard.
Cena could always make a great comeback and be a little snarky even as a babyface. So that part of him being a heel is not bad. But I was even thinking, even when he faced the Undertaker, you could turn him. He could have been a heel against the Undertaker, in that
Nah,
matchup.
but that's the problem with the Taker and Cena really didn't have much of a buildup. Because
Well, that's what I'm saying.
from my understanding, when Cena challenged Taker, Taker's like Taker's got a he didn't know that Cena was gonna do that, and then he calls up Vince, he's like, "So I'm working with Cena, I guess." It's so
Yeah.
there really
Well,
wasn't much of a build up at that
here's another thing
whatsoever.
too. Taker he trained for 45 minutes. He trained for 45 minutes a day. He wanted more time. And he was objecting Vince for more time. And then Vince said, well, let's ask Cena. And Cena's like, well, we'll do whatever you want to do, boss. That's the thing.
Yep,
But that would have been another opportunity to turn. Cena had so many opportunities to be a heel. And now, and like I say, I don't think it's believable. I mean, yeah, the shock factor, even with the shock factor though, with Hogan being the good guy for so long, and then how he turned heel, I still think that's number one over Cena, just my personal opinion. But I just think also too, Cena turning heel now, it's just not as believable. And even
yeah,
when he won the title, he got a
yeah.
huge pop for winning
And
the title.
last on a Raw, they're saying, "We are sorry," and then Cena's like, "Did you just hear what they said? They said we aren't sorry." So it's like, dude,
I
come on,
know
man.
he can't, he's tried his best.
He's trying his best, but you and I both know it would not shock me one bit if he turns face again after SummerSlam because it's just not working out. It's just not working out, and it's
I think,
because no one's buying it. It's so hard to
well,
buy. I'm telling you.
and that's the thing too, because when you go on a farewell tour, you're always going to get cheered, no matter what. No, that's with any sport, baseball,
Mhm.
basketball, golf, whatever. You're always getting cheered. You're always getting these standing ovations. So the
Yep,
fans want to give him the standing ovation, say thank you for these years of for all these years of wrestling he did. And right now they're having to try to play this game of him being a heel. It's just not working out. I mean,
it's
it's just
tough.
not. It's tough. It's very tough. I mean, I applaud them for what they try to do with that, but it just they had a chance years ago. They should have done it years ago. They didn't do it, and now they did it, which was great to see Cena as a heel. And I think he would have been a pretty good heel if they did it because of the way he's trying. But it's just not working because the fans they actually want to see a farewell tour. They want to see a farewell tour where they give him standing ovations. He has good matches. He has a title run, which he is going to have a title run, and he's going to eventually retire.
Yeah, yep. And so I'm just glad they did not do the same thing with Roman Reigns like they did with John Cena. I'm glad that they turned Reigns heel, which Reigns that was one of the things he wanted to do when he came back. During the COVID year was he heel. He wanted to be himself. He didn't want to be this babyface character. Uh, and so yeah, that's cool. We've seen him turn into the biggest superstar in the history. He's definitely up there as far as biggest. That's another subject for another day. All right, let's go to NIL deal. So we are starting to see some of the after effects of
Can we
NIL.
discuss something before we get started? Before we
Yeah,
discuss NIL, so I shared this article with you. So there's reports of The Rock not attending WrestleMania because pretty much according to Jonathan Coachman, of course, worked for ESPN, but he was also for WWE for a very long time. Apparently, there is some real life heat between Triple H and The Rock, according to Coachman. And Jonathan Coachman is a pretty well.
I think
He
you're muted,
believes.
there you go. I can hear you
Okay,
now.
yeah, my
Got
internet's kind.
yeah, I think your internet's whacked up right now. Hopefully, we will get him back. This is great, especially during recording time. I won't be able to edit this. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get Brad back on. I kind of understood exactly where he was going with this, the Rock. So Jonathan Coachman has been reporting that the Rock and Triple H can't really stand each other. And so and there's a report that Triple H could be on his way out of the WWE as far as like a firing goes and everything like that. And a lot of it's a personal thing with The Rock. So I'll give, and if Brad comes back, I may repeat myself. Hopefully, we will get him back soon. But I personally believe when Vince McMahon left the WWE, I got Brad back. All right,
Oh,
you there?
yeah, I'm
So,
sorry, my
no,
internet's being
you're good.
cussed.
You're
So the
good.
re-
I kind of know what you're reporting on. That's kind of where I was, touching base at while you were gone.
yeah,
Because there's this personal hatred between The Rock and Triple H, a real life, vendetta that they have going on, whatever the case may be. And so, what I was about to say was when Vince McMahon was finally let go of the board of directors, and then we have this, TKO merger, we have all this stuff going on where The Rock head of the board that puts on a lot of power for one person, in my opinion. And to tell you the truth, Brad, I think it's a terrible idea to get rid of Triple H at this point, just
I
because
agree.
WrestleMania sucked, just because WrestleMania. I mean, we got to give him more than just one full calendar year. I mean, that's just ridiculous and it's just insane. Jonathan Coachman knows what he's talking about. Jonathan Coachman's been around WWE long enough. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Everybody that's known to wrestling, everybody that's watched wrestling over the years, whatever the case may be, knows good and well Triple H knows what he's doing. It's going to take time to actually get him going into the storylines and everything like that. So he's telling stories around the stories. He's bringing stuff from the past and mushing and bringing it into the present, sort of like what he did with CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Now he's closing chapters and he's opening up brand spanking new ones that we haven't seen before. Anybody in their right mind would have told me that Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman would be a year after Roman Reigns had just said, if the wise man is not with me, I'm going to retire. I mean, who would have known that they were going to do stuff like this? And I do believe that Paul Heyman eventually will unite back with Roman Reigns again. It's going to happen. He did it with Lesnar. CM Punk, it's gonna happen. But I really feel like this whole thing with Rock and Triple H, to me, it's a conflict of interest, and I personally think The Rock needs to stay away from it. Simple fact is, The Rock has not been a full time wrestler. He hasn't been in full time wrestling in a very, very long time. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be involved. What I'm saying is that not be involved in this, such as firing a guy who has given his legacy. A guy that didn't go to Hollywood, a guy who stuck around WWE. That way it could see its future. A guy who works his rear end off, not in and not out, and that is Triple H. So I even though I'm not saying I disagree with what Jonathan Coachman's saying, what I'm saying is The Rock needs to butt out. Period. Butt out of this situation, because if he's going to use his power to make this run, to make this ruling, there's no telling what's going to happen later on down the road. It's bad for business.
yeah, and he wants to get, according to Jonathan, he wants to get Brian Gewirtz, which has been Rock's right hand man for a long time in Triple H's role. But here's the thing: Triple H has done a very good job in his role ever since he's took
Mhm.
over that role afterwards. I mean, yes, he had a bad WrestleMania, but the year before was a great WrestleMania.
Yep,
I mean, it was a tremendous
and Vince McMahon did not have
handed.
no, he had great WrestleManias, he had mediocre WrestleManias, and he had terrible WrestleManias. 2 WrestleManias to me is not enough to
Yeah,
say, "We gotta let you go." That's stupid.
and you could say that Triple H has had a pretty good run as far as producing shows
Yeah.
and give it and everything else. So every now and then, you know this as well. I do. Don't any profession, whether you're preaching, you're coaching, you're refing, or umpiring, whatever, you're going to have a bad night. You're going to have a bad.
Yep.
No, you're going to have one of those times, and this one happens to be probably Triple H. I would say worst and like I said, it wasn't that bad. I mean, the WrestleMania was not bad. I mean, it wasn't like I wouldn't give it a thumbs down, but I wouldn't give it a thumbs up. So it wasn't like a bad show, but it wasn't his best show for sure. But again, I think whatever beef they have, I mean, like I said, I agree with you 100%. The Rock just needs to stay out of it. Um, and let the personal vendetta go. Now, if he don't want to show up, that's his prerogative. I mean, that's Rock's prerogative. I mean, but again, he doesn't need to butt into it. I do think, like you say, John the Coachman knows what he's talking about. Because, like I said, John the Coachman's not one of those guys that just throws things out there for
No.
clickbait stuff. Because when John the Coachman talks, I mean, he knows what he's talking about, even though he was a goofy character on it
He really was. He
WWE.
really was.
But yeah, we love Coachman, and then but he knows what he's talking about. And like I say, Triple H, like I say, I think he's going to continue to do a good job. He's producing good stories, which I think has been great. Like you talked about, the story with Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins is going to continue on, probably with a tag team match. This is tradition. This is how wrestling was back when I was a kid. And I like it. You know, I like the storylines. I like how everything kind of. I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it. But it evolves. I mean, it keeps on going, and
Yep.
it just keeps on going. And like I say, even with John Cena, I think, like I said, they had a good idea, but I think it was too late. And again, you know, it's now people wants to see a farewell tour, and I think they're going to give them a farewell tour where they all
Mhm.
get to cheer him and everything else. But again, I don't think it's a Triple H did a bad job. And plus, he was also busy because no, they decided to induct him into the WWE Hall of Fame. So there probably was some things going on with that too. And
Yep.
so I don't think he wanted it, but he was kind of more or less forced to take the
Yeah.
induction. And
Yep.
so I
And
mean,
that's
and but that it is what it is. And so anyway, but that's a few thoughts on that. So anyway, that's I just want to touch on that real quick because that was a
yeah,
story coming out.
that's perfectly fine. Good story coming out. I'm sure we'll be touching base on this in the near future as well. All right, back to NIL. Let's do the NIL deal. We know the one of the top quarterbacks who was at Tennessee is now going to UCLA. His brother is leaving Arkansas. I think he's just in the transfer portal. He didn't announce where he's going yet, did he?
No, not officially, but looks like he is going to UCLA.
So, and apparently, from reports are saying that Arkansas and Tennessee are looking into lawsuits to get that NIL money back because of the brief of contract. Which I'm all for it, by the way. Let's go ahead and let me get that out of the
My
way.
got yep.
Let's get that out of the way. They just screwed themselves, and I'm fine with that. They need to learn. They're young. This is why I said from the very get go, I understand why the NIL is important to these kids. I understand that it's life changing money, but they have to learn there are consequences for their actions and even contracts in the NFL. If you breach a contract in the NFL, it's even worse than what you're breaching it now. So, so Brad, I don't know what you wanted to touch base with because I know that
Well,
Nick Saban basically this is the reason why Nick Saban left college football to begin with
yep.
became more of instead of what can you do for or instead of the player saying what can I do for you, it's more what can you pay? What can you do for me before I do all this stuff? Before I agree to all this crap?
So, couple things I want to get with it. So we'll get back to Nico and stuff, in my opinion on that in a minute too, because I do absolutely agree with you. But I'm going to share some of that. But one of the things you shared with me before the Nico thing came out was about the Arkansas athletics how they're investing in NIL, how they've invested in baseball,
Mm.
how they've invested in basketball, but really not so much in football. And of course, with Hunter Yurchek and wanted to keep Sam Pittman because he hired him, the powers to be might not be in that same boat per se. I thought the article you shared with that was very interesting. I think it's a very good piece on that. And I think it does say a lot how, in baseball, we're able to get anybody we want and still be a contender. In basketball, we were able to get top talent and ended up in the Sweet 16. And it seems like in football, we get these good players, but they're not great players. And they're not no juggernaut players. I mean, Landon Jackson was a juggernaut, but that's what maybe the only exception last year that we had because he's going to be a first round draft pick, but
No, I don't think it's gonna be a first round draft pick. He'll probably be
well,
second or third.
they said second. They
Yeah,
got
it's
him
it's 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 probably
to
gonna be at least second, if not third, Brad. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes third round.
but anyway, but the point is you got so that article pretty much the premise of it was pretty much the powers of be really want Sam Pittman out, and Hunter Yurchek is trying to find a way out of Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. What you
Could be,
share,
but yeah, but at the same time, he had who was it he had an interview with last year?
South
He had an interview.
Carolina.
Was it South Carolina? So I mean, yeah, but at the same time, that that's to me that's a straight across move. Why in the world would you want to go to South Carolina to begin with? So if you wanted out of Arkansas, he could have done it already.
Well, South Carolina, rumor has it, was not interested in him. He begged for the A&M job. They weren't interested in him there. So I mean, that's my rumor. Now going back to Nico and them and this NIL stuff. Yeah, you're right. Nick Saban predicted that you will start having players sitting out to try to negotiate contracts. And Tennessee said, nope, we're not going to have that. Shout out to Tennessee for that. I applaud
Yes,
Josh Heupel.
yes,
I applaud
absolutely.
all of them for that. I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere. But
Yeah,
Ricky,
because
it's
they're
not.
college players. That's the whole bottom line is they're college players. They're not professional.
Now, here's the thing about too, Ricky. I don't want to put all the blame on the players because they also got these representatives, and the NCAA doesn't define who a representative is. You can be a licensed agent, you can be mom and dad, you can be anybody that are kind of negotiating these contracts on behalf of these players. So, really, if the people of Nico had any guts, they would actually hold a press conference tomorrow, say, we screwed this up for Nico. We screwed this up. We screwed it up for him to get less money. And we advised him to sit out to try to hold Tennessee hostage for a better deal for a lot more money than what his NIL is worth. That's one thing. The biggest blame I place on this, Ricky, is the NCAA. The NCAA had to see this coming. And just like with everything else they do, they just drug their feet, hoping it would go away, just like
Hmm.
the lawsuit would, everything would, and they just hoped that all of this would go away, and it didn't. And now it's gotten to the point you got players. I mean, you got the transfer portal in the middle of March Madness for basketball. How nuts is that? That's a DA Hall of Fame move right there. That's absolutely nuts that you got the transfer portal for basketball in the middle of the NCAA tournament. And here's another pricker, Ricky. You have players, starters, considering opting out from the playoffs, the college football playoffs. You already had backups opting out and go transferring to other schools because they weren't getting enough playing time. And I mentioned earlier in an earlier podcast that these backups were like one play away from being into the game
Yeah,
to actually maybe leading them to a national championship. So this to me, Ricky, it's like
it's it's
I
it, it's
want to,
it's 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 like It's so crazy. It's like
It's
spaghetti.
insanity.
It's all mixed up. You can't get it untwirled. You can't really do much with it, other than the fact is the NCAA has laid another egg once more. Now,
Ah,
I will say this much. I think they need to go back to the old rule where you cannot transfer unless your coach gets fired or unless there is a legitimate reason why you need to breach your contract. But that needs to be settled through the NCAA and through these universities. If they want to be professional athletes, they have to be treated like professional athletes. You can't transfer just because you're getting like a playing time. That's stupid in my opinion. I'm sorry. That's dumb.
I
If that's the case, give back your NIL money that you made. Leave. If you're wanting to do that, you have to give back your NIL money because that's what it's coming down to.
I'm for I'm for contracts with buyouts, and I don't mind them transferring, but they need to set a limit on how many times you can transfer.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
that's
They need to set the
yeah.
limit. And if you do transfer, there's a buyout clause, just like your coach. If case they will say, well, the coach can leave anytime, and they're, blah, blah, but the coach still has a buyout clause.
Coach has
But
a
I
buyout
mean,
clause. Yes, they do
if they
because
leave before, yeah,
if there are consequences that coaches can face
right,
if they're the ones that leave,
yeah,
they face contractual opportunities. If
right,
they get fired, the universities have to deal with that
without
without
cause, yep,
clause. Yes, they
yep,
have to deal with that. So
right.
yeah, there's all kinds of
Well,
stuff.
and here's
Uh,
the thing too. When a coach leaves, goes to another school, usually one or two things happen. Either the coach takes care of the buyout, which is rarity, but usually it's the other school that helps take care of the buyout of the contract he is at the other school with. So
I
I
don't see
mean,
UCLA. I don't see UCLA take care of Nico. That Nico could possibly give all his NIL money from that he gets from UCLA and have to give it to Tennessee. Imagine if that
and
happens, Brad.
taxes, California taxes.
Oh my gosh, why would you want to go to California? Why would you want to go to California and pay taxes? Over half your paycheck goes to taxes.
Yep.
Stupid DA. They're
So
making my DA Hall of Fame. DA
so
Hall of Fame for going to UCLA of all places.
well, and that's the thing, and like I said, Nico does share some of the blame. His representative shares a lot of the blame, but the biggest blame has to be the NCAA. It's just insanity at its finest. And like I say, Nick Saban spoke to Congress about this. He
Hmm.
has said this publicly many times. And he said the reason why I got out was this reason right here. A player holding out a college player, not a pro professional, and that's a different story. But you could go there. But at least you got unions there. But you got
Hmm.
a college player be holding out because he wants more money. That to me, right there. I mean, it's like Paul Feinbaum said. This is a turning point of college sports. It is a
Yep.
turning point, and now you can officially say that you are no longer dealing with college athletes. You are dealing with semi-pro athletes at this point, minor leagues.
And yeah, and they're harder to deal with than minor league. They're getting paid more than minor league baseball players
I
are for
know.
crying out loud. It's ridiculous. All right, so here we go. I have 8 DAs to get to. Brad, let's get to DAs of the week. How many do you have?
I got a few. I don't know. I got eight, but I got a few.
I got 8, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, yep, I've got 8. Brad, go ahead. Who's your first DA of the week?
Well, JD Vance has had a tough week this week. First of all, he was one of the last people to see the Pope alive. So to all of our Catholic friends, no, sorry for your loss as well with the Pope. But anyway, so that's another thing. So he's one of the last people to see the Pope alive. That's number one. Then earlier in the week, though, they hosted the Ohio State national champions, and he happens to nearly break, or actually broke the national championship trophy. So my first day of the week goes to our Vice President of the United States, who is also from a native Ohio as well. Yeah, just a bad week for the man. Breaking the national championship trophy to be one of the last people to see the Pope alive. Yeah, just a bad week overall. So first day of the week goes to JD Vance for breaking the national championship trophy.
National championship. I love it. All right. So, my first DA of the week goes to the creators of the TV series Ghosts, who is created by Joe Port, Joe Wiseman, and there's a few others that have been a part of creating the TV series Ghosts. Now, Brad, um, my wife has started getting into this. This is probably from there's probably one of the episodes from season one. There's an episode where there is a group of people who are coming in uninvited, basically, and they're sitting down and they're watching a college football game. Brad, I will pay you everything that I have in my bank account, with the exception that you haven't watched it. If you've watched this TV series, you probably know where I'm going with this. Have you seen this TV series?
I have not. No.
I will give you everything in my bank account. I'll give you the computer that I'm on if you can guess which game they were watching.
uh, I'm going to say Ohio State and
Okay, so you're way off. Okay.
okay. Oh
They were
gosh.
gathered together around a TV watching Buffalo play against Temple. Nobody watches Buffalo versus Temple and gathers around and has a party like it's a Super Bowl, Brad. The creators of Ghost are my first DA of the week for creating such a stupid segment. At least make it a realistic like thing, like Ohio State versus Michigan, or Arkansas versus LSU. Buffalo versus Temple. Nobody watches Temple football to begin with. First DA of the week goes to the creators of Ghost.
My second day of the week goes to amateur golfer Jose Luis Ballester. Uh, After he admitted that he peed during the first round of the Masters at Rays Creek. What the heck, man? This is the Masters. It's Augusta National. You're gonna go pee at a creek? Come on, man.
When
This
you
is
gotta go,
not.
you gotta go.
I Find a bathroom somewhere. Hold it. Do whatever you have to do, but go to peeing at the first round of the Masters is not the way to go. Uh, God damn. Plus, this guy's a young man. He should have done a better job of holding his bladder, or he should have not drunk so much water, or done whatever the heck he did that caused him to go pee. So my second day of the week goes to, and plus you go and admit that you peed in Rays Creek at the Masters. So my second day of the week goes to Jose Luis Ballester for peeing at Rays Creek during the first round of the Masters.
Speaking of peeing, that's my second day of the week. Second day of the week goes to the Rio Ranch JV baseball team. They have been suspended the rest of the season for peeing in the water jug of an opponent.
Yeah, I read
How
that.
so first of all, how did this happen? Like, how did you do this before the game? Did you do this like in the middle of innings? How does this happen? Like, how do you get caught by peeing in a jug of water? Like, I don't understand this like whatsoever. Anyways, I mean, so peeing. I mean, yeah, between golf and baseball, I guess it's just all weird. Rio Ranch Universe, you are my second day of the week.
My third day of the week goes to MLB umpire Bruce Dreckman. He was caught at a bar when Detroit played the Yankees game. I think this was at Detroit. Uh, Taking swigs of a bottle of Hennessy. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was taking swigs at 10 a.m. in the morning right before their game.
Get drunk before the ball game. This game's gonna stink anyway. I'm at least gonna be wasted when I call balls. Was he behind the plate that game?
Here's the one behind the plate.
I'm gonna call balls. I think that was the ball, man. It was right down the middle. I
So
could have seen that.
I don't suggest any umpire doing that before a game,
I'm
especially
gonna do it.
why not? Well, we got a game Saturday, my friend.
I don't know. You never know. 8 o'clock in the morning may be a little too early for me.
But anyway, my third day of the week goes to Bruce Dreckman for being caught drinking. Yeah, he was at the MGM Grand at Detroit, 10 a.m. Taking swigs.
So my third DA of the week goes to Go Bank, which is an article that they write a bunch of articles about financing and everything like that. So I'm all for a good April Fool's joke, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all for a good April Fool's joke. This actually this is why I say this is over 20 days old that I wrote some of these. So they wrote an article. It was an April Fool's joke. It was the most obvious Fool's joke ever. Brad, they wrote an article saying that they were going to give $1 million stimulus to those who are registered Republicans. Okay, so first of all, that's so obvious considering Republicans don't even want to give student loan forgiveness
Yeah.
out. They don't want to give it. They want people to pay everything. So go bank. Stop. Just stop writing articles. Stop with this nonsense. You're not funny. It's not funny. It's not. Just stop writing articles. Period.
Uh, my fourth day of the week is actually a 2-for-1 special. It goes to the guy that was fishing during the flood at at Hot Springs Village in his backyard. And,
That was in Hot Springs Village that you said.
and
Oh
the
gosh.
also the kids that was swimming at the Bishop Park at Bright.
Oh
Listen,
gosh. I
guys,
used to live by that
I,
place.
and I umpire some games at Bishop Park of some adult league baseball games. Listen, guys, it's not very good to go fishing or swimming in these waters while it's flooding. You don't know what kind of bacteria there is, anything like that. Um, just absolutely stupid. So there you go, the 2-for-1 special of DA's people being idiots during the floods of 2025.
All right, so my next day of the week goes to a bunch of adults who apparently had a brawl in Chuck E. Cheese. Um, What are you fighting over? I'm confused about this one. So Chuck E. Cheese, they say it's a place for kids, not adults getting into a brawl. I don't understand this. You fighting over the mouse, which one the mouse likes better? I don't get this. Why are you having a brawl at Chuck E. Cheese? I mean, you basically win stuffed animals for prizes. It's like going to Dave and Buster's, except not as fun. So you morons for having a brawl at Chuck E. Cheese. You are on my day of the week.
Next day of the week, speaking of brawls, goes to the two golfers that was caught fighting because of slow pace of play. This did not happen at Hot Springs Village, ladies and gentlemen, because you would think that would happen here. It could happen here. I wouldn't doubt it. But anyway, apparently there's some nice swings. And you got the women also shouting, get away, all this different stuff. Yeah, absolutely horrible to these two guys. I hate slow players too. Matter of fact, I did a golf tournament one time where we were in a 4-man scramble. My group was, and the people in front of us was a 3-man scramble. But apparently, they had a few too many, and we were always waiting in for them. As a matter of fact, I got so mad I actually ran into their golf cart because I was so mad because I was sick, I was tired, I want to get out that golf course, and so there you go. So yeah, I understand slow pace of play. But if I didn't get into a brawl, you don't need to get into a brawl. You absolutely look stupid. So my 50A goes to these two idiots on the golf course.
So, Brad, I'm gonna put these next two together because they kind of go hand in hand with the NCAA tournaments. The first one is going to go with the tournament in general. Why are we reviewing everything in the last 2 minutes of the game?
Yes,
I mean,
yes, I
that you
hate it.
talk about slow play. That is the worst I have ever seen. Instant replay being used and abused, if we want to put it that way. And most of them were obvious calls, like they were obvious. They didn't. I don't think they ever
Yeah,
returned hardly anything in those last 2 minutes. They were obvious. Good job to the officials, though. I thought the officials did a great job.
yeah,
In especially the championship, and especially the Final Four championship games, they did very very well. Congratulations to Florida for winning. Da Hall of Famer. By the way, this is going to be a DA Hall of Famer. Apparently, there was a student who climbed a red light
yes,
and fell. Yeah,
yep,
you're a moron, okay? Let's just all agree on that.
yes.
You're a
You,
moron. All
you're
right.
the,
So if you're stupid enough to climb a stupid red light and you risk falling, you deserve to fall. And I hope you broke every bone in your body and you're still living. I'm sorry, man, but you can't be that stupid. You can't. People cannot be that stupid, Brad. And I don't understand it.
my seventh, six, seven. I don't know. I'm lost track at this point. Next day of the week goes to the. Speaking of the White Sox, the grounds crew. Apparently, they can't even cover up the field while during the rain delay. The tarp gets stuck during the rain delay, and they had to use the on deck stuff to cover the field. Yeah, White Sox batting 196. The grounds crew batting 0 at this point during rain delays. Horrible organization. They need to sell the team. The ground. If your grounds crew are bad, you know that things are bad at the for your team. So the White Sox, you're my the White Sox grounds crew. You're my next DA.
No, hey, I'm saying though, you and I could probably get the best seat in the house much cheaper than we can for nosebleed seats anywhere else at this point. Goodness, they're so terrible, so terrible. All right, so speaking of terrible organization, Kent State University just fired their coach last week. People, you're in April, okay? I understand the guy went 0-12 last year, okay? I understand that totally. Why are you waiting to April to fire this guy? Who do you think you're going to get now? Nobody. You're going to have to promote someone within. You're a you are a major university, and you're just now firing a football coach for going 0-12. Tell me how that makes sense. When did football end for? Okay, when did football end for Kent State, Brad? I'll wait.
well,
November. It ended in November. They didn't even play in December.
well, I tell you this much. It was so bad. Actually, there's a spoof of a guy trying to get Nick Saban to come home because that's Nick Saban's alma mater.
5 months. 5 months. You tell me it took you 5 months to fire a guy that went 0-12? DA Hall of Fame right there. That's DA Hall of Fame right there, Brad. I'm throwing my pen all over the place. Let me get it real quick.
Speaking of DAs, I don't know whose fault this would be, but I know you just recently had a funeral, unfortunately, and we talked about that earlier. But these pallbearers was carrying this casket, and all of a sudden the whole thing underneath them came collapsed, and they went into the grave with the with the casket.
I knew he was going to be next. I might as well just get a head start.
Yeah, I know. You know, yeah, try maybe have a better ground. No, something. Make sure the foundation's good. I don't know. I mean, I mean, good grief, this is so horrible. Again, it makes it very bad. So, my next DA goes to the funeral home. There you go, or the whatever, whoever's responsible for the grave. You're a DA.
Yeah, usually the funeral home's not in charge of the grade. Usually they have a contractors that,
Yeah,
that dig the
contracting. They
graves.
do. They do.
Yeah, I
They
used to,
do.
yeah, but I used to know someone that did it for a living, and they actually got paid pretty well for doing it, which it was kind of like, really? You get paid that much? Anyways, so my final DA of the week goes to the University of Colorado, Deion Sanders, and whoever is involved in this
Yeah.
nonsense of retiring
So
jerseys. Why are you retiring jerseys of Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders? For starters, they didn't do anything. Okay, they won what, like 9 games last year. Okay, listen, that's great and all, and okay, and I'm
they
very
have
proud for that.
13-12 overall.
Yeah, 13 and 12 overall does not get your jersey retired. I'm sorry, it just does not. It's the same thing with Eli Manning. Why are you retiring Eli Manning's jersey just because he won 2 Super Bowls? He went 500 as a quarterback. 500 as a quarterback. Like, I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay, he beat Tom Brady twice. Okay, get that. Okay, I get that wholeheartedly. He deserves a jersey. He deserves a jersey retirement over these two. These two didn't win nothing. They didn't do nothing.
Well, I can understand Travis Hunter. I'll defend that one because he won the Heisman.
No, you can't defend it. They did nothing. They didn't win a national championship. They did nothing. They did absolutely. If that's the
And here,
case, I want box out to retire my 34 jersey.
next time I box it, I'll tell that.
No, don't you dare tell. I will tell them that myself. Don't laugh at me. Yeah, they'll laugh at me regardless. But
Cordell,
I'm just telling you in general. I did more at box out than they did it, and I hardly played at box site. And I'm
Cord,
just telling you,
and
like
here's the crazy part. Cordell Stewart finished in the top 10. His Colorado teams finished top 10. I think two of his last 3 years, or something like that. Last 2 years, something like that. And his jersey's not retired. And he has one of the most famous plays of all time when he threw the Hail Mary to beat Michigan at Michigan.
and, and here's the sad part, Brad. Shadur Sanders may not even go in the first round of the draft tomorrow night. That's
No,
how bad his draft stock has dropped. Well,
yeah,
let's retire his jersey.
one assistant said that he was horrible. He's arrogant. He's entitled. It was bad. But I do have one more DA. I think
Go
this
ahead.
happened about a year or so ago, but still, it's still DA worthy. It goes to the
Oh,
Cincinnati.
DA Worthy, man.
It goes to the Cincinnati Reds because they actually threw a no hitter, and they still lost 1-0 to the
Oh
Pittsburgh
my
Pirates.
gosh. That's
That's
terrible.
DA Hall of Fame right there. How the heck do you lose 1-0? You don't hit the guy, you still lose the game. Yeah, that's horrible. That tells you out there why the Cincinnati Reds hasn't won a World Series since 1990. That's been 35 years. In case you want to do some math. So there you go. Last DA goes to the Cincinnati Reds for losing the game where they actually threw a no hitter.
Let's see here. I am actually going to look up how much it costs to go to a Chicago White Sox game. Give me 1 second.
While you're doing that, I want to give a couple shout out. Lee Corso's retiring. He announced he's retiring at the August 30th. So shout out to Lee Corso on that excellent career. Gonna miss the headgear picks with that. That's so an era of our childhood comes to the end, Ricky. With that, with
That is sad. That
yeah,
and like I said, happy for him.
it
This
needed
is
to happen. It needed to
it,
happen
it
though.
did it did. He's getting old. Um, and like I said, he is getting old. All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The most expensive ticket. All right, so this is a Milwaukee Brewers game. Are the Milwaukee Brewers they any good this year? I know they
They're
weren't bad
decent.
last year.
They won
So
the
so
division last year. I think they're decent this year. I don't know.
so you could go to section 155, which is, let me see if I can zoom in. 155 is far, and you could get a near front row seat there for $9. Let me see what the most
Awesome.
let's see here. Let me look here. Now this is so you can get behind the plate in the front row for $426. That's very, very cheap.
I appreciate
You can
it.
and premium seat, you can go right back, not too far back, and get it for 355. Let's see here. And if you go over there toward the third base dugout, toward the front row, you can get. Well, let's see here if they're gonna. Let's see if this. Well, let me zoom in real quick. Well, is it gonna let me zoom in? It won't let me zoom in. Oh. And if you go over there toward the third baseline, which is close to the actual dugout itself, you can get a ticket for $96. Very, very cheap to go to a Chicago White Sox game. It actually might be worth going to a game. So I just thought just thought people might want to know. You can get it to an MLB game very, very cheap. Chicago White Sox actually pretty terrible
Pretty
that you went
terrible.
to. It's very, very terrible. I
Also,
agree with you. I agree with you. They need to sell the team.
speaking of terrible, I just read this. Jock Peterson, who plays for the Texas Rangers, he hasn't had a hit since April 2nd. If you do the math, he's on a 0 for 41 hitless streak right now.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I think I could go 0 for 41. Put me on there. Put me in there, coach. I'll go 0 for 41. You can pay me $10 million, or whatever his contract is. I'll
Uh,
hit at least once.
so anyway, but well, that's it. So like we always say, as long as the human race exists, there'll always be DAs. And of course, Jerry Jones is making news because they're planning on substantial trades. So how much do you believe that?
Do what now?
So apparently, reports goes that the Cowboys are working on substantial trades.
I don't believe that one bit. All right.
Why
And
we
I'm
gonna get? Why we gonna get Ezekiel Elliott back? That's why the
uh,
trade they work.
oh, Lord, please no. Please no. Uh,
Oh, the
we get Ezekiel Elliott back. I am not doing this show all year long. I am not listening to this bull crap the entire year. I will put you on the show and I will put you on mute, sir, if they get Ezekiel Elliott back.
the soap opera that never ends that keeps getting funnier and funnier every year. The Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, they're starting to be the Texas Rangers of the 90s. All right, here we go. I'm done. I'm not going to bed yet. I'm eating Mexican chicken first. My wife made some great Mexican chicken, and I'm
My
tired
wife
of the
does
Dallas.
too.
I'm tired of Dallas Cowboys too. All right, tune into the draft. The draft is tomorrow night,
Yes.
Friday and Saturday. Like I said, I think Landon Jackson. I think he's a second rounder. for
Yeah,
sure. I'm gonna say second rounder. I
I
don't know
think
if he'll
Mel
go to the third.
Copper. I think Mel Copper has going to the Chiefs in the second round.
That'd be great to go.
That
That'd
would
be
be great.
great to go to the Chiefs. But it also Mel Kiper has no idea what he's talking about. So, all right.
Well,
So
it's like that one GM said many years ago. Who the hell is Mel Copper?
that's very true. I forgot about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a. I'm done. I can't do this no more. I'm done. I can't do it no more for the night. All right. Good night, everybody.